Since the age of 5, my dream has been to sail solo non-stop around the world. From sailing in a small dinghy, joining the Sea Cadets and applying to the Royal Navy. A life at sea that I hoped would one day make my dream possible. Then at 16, life hit like a hurricane. I was diagnosed with an incurable chronic illness called ulcerative colitis. Hospitals replaced horizons and doctors replaced dreams. My sailing ambition slowly sank. Until one day in a doctor's waiting room, I sat in silence and said nothing to a lone, terrified teenager going through exactly what I had when I was his age. And I regret it. You see, in that moment, I realised I'd given up quietly and without ever deciding to. Gradually broken by my circumstances, I've let my illness be in charge. So what good would anything I have said done for him? That moment lit the fuse. This sailing dream, it's back on. If attempting this challenge helps one person in a waiting room feel less alone, then it's worth trying. Join me, sailing in hope. Hope isn't just an idea, it's a boat. And if I'm going to sail solo non-stop around the world, choosing the right one isn't just important, it's critical. This boat has two jobs. One, to carry my dream to the ocean, and two, to keep me alive. The ocean is indifferent. It doesn't care who you are, what you do, where you come from, or about your chronic illnesses. It cares about being the ocean, beautiful and brutal. So which boat has what it takes to become Sailing Vessel Hope, the figurehead of sailing in hope? And where do I find it, given that I live miles away from the sea?
The internet, obviously.
But before I can choose a boat, I need to be clear about what I'm asking it and myself to do. I see this mission in 3 stages.
Stage 1, sailing around the UK, mostly day sailing and coastal hopping. It's been a while since I've been sailing, so I need to brush up a bit. Stage 2, a few Atlantic crossings, pushing myself and testing the boat, building real solo ocean experience and seeing what life is like away from doctors. Stage 3, one of the most physically and mentally demanding challenges on Earth, a solo non-stop circumnavigation of the world.
After that, I'd like this boat to go on in some way and help others living with chronic illnesses, perhaps through day sailing events. But before that can happen, the boat needs to survive the first 3 stages. And so do I.
I begin the search for Sailing Vessel Hope on the Band of Boats website. Hours soon become days, days turn into weeks, and weeks become months. What started out as an exciting exercise has turned into a nightmare. It's like my world is going in slow motion while the rest of it is in fast forward. So many different designs, this boat has that, but not this.
But do I even need this? Or even that? Everything with boats is a compromise. What works brilliantly in one situation often doesn't work so well in another. I found myself overwhelmed, crawling deeper and deeper into a rabbit hole. And rabbit holes this time of the year are wet and muddy. The answer is something I call the Sea Mammal Sail Scale, a completely unscientific way of turning boat specs into something I can actually visualise. In a nutshell, at one end of the scale is the dolphin. It's fast and it's light, but it gets a bit bumpy when the sea gets rough. Ideal for the UK and okay for the Atlantic crossings, although I might have a few more grey hairs at the end. But a definite no in the Southern Ocean, for me anyway. Next is the seal, the good all-rounder, not a flighty speed demon like the dolphin. Good for the UK and the Atlantic, but probably not robust enough for the Southern Ocean. Then there is the whale. Needs a bit more wind to get going, but a gentler ride in rough seas. Not ideal for the UK, but good for the Atlantic and the world circumnavigation. And finally, there's the blue whale. These are the boats that were built to go anywhere and do anything, but they come at a high price. I used AI to crunch the boat specs against the scale, and I've narrowed down the options to a short list of boats. One small caveat with the scale. Sea mammals spend a lot of time underwater. I'd really prefer it if the boat didn't. On the health front, I've been having a colitis flare for over a year now, and despite increasing the hospital infusion doses, things aren't improving. So we're switching up the medication, again. And this one is in a tablet form, which will give me a little bit more freedom and not tie me down to a monthly hospital visit. So I can finally see some light at the end of the tunnel. I've got a short list of boats and a little bit more freedom from healthcare, which will allow me to at least start stage 1 and set sail around the UK.
Then a letter from one of my doctors changed everything.
I recently had a bone density scan. You see, one of the medications I used to use to treat colitis can affect your bone density. It's called prednisone, and I used it on and off for decades, including one very long period for well over a year. I knew as a result I had osteopenia.
I don't have osteopenia anymore. I have osteoporosis.
So it seems I have a new reality to face, and it's a hard one. Is this dream even realistically possible? Up to now, with my medical challenges, I honestly think I could deal with it, with the right preparation, the right systems, and the right discipline. But osteoporosis, that seems different, because this isn't about endurance or mindset or pushing through. It's about fragility. Breaking a bone in the Southern Ocean isn't just a bad day. At best, it's a medivac. But if I'm too far away from help or the weather's too bad, that probably isn't just the end of the trip. But if I quit now, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I just keep trying. But there's a fine line between defiance in the face of adversity and sheer recklessness. Cross it, and courage turns into denial. So where do I go from here? What would you do? What do you do when your life gets in the way of the things you want to do? Me, I've always been the eternal optimist and stubborn. But this news is a brutal blow to my confidence. I know I need to keep moving forward, even if it's just at a one knot. I can't let this broken body dictate the future again, not so soon after trying to reignite this dream. I can cope with failing through circumstances I really can't control, but I can't fail through giving up. So maybe the real question isn't what boat, it's how much do I really believe in myself? I need to go and see some boats and a doctor who understands what the Southern Ocean is capable of.